Chapter 61 Choice. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 61 Choice. At the Academy, there's a clear divide between soul masters from noble families and those from common backgrounds. Yi Nantian leads the commoner soul masters, while Davis and Dai Yaming are the faces of the noble contingent, but the nobles also have another leader, one beyond Davis and Dai Yaming's influence. They might be prominent within the empire, but many nobles in the kingdoms and principalities have their own figurehead. That figurehead was Lan Yuxuan, standing right in front of Dai Yao. On Ferdinand's orders? Dai Yao asked, confused, why would a crown prince be taking orders from a bishop of the Spirit Hall? Then it clicked, the Spirit Empire's foundation came from the kingdoms and principalities outside the two major empires. The Spirit Empire was still decades away, but building an empire doesn't happen overnight. To pull it off, the Spirit Hall would have started a long time ago, winning over kingdoms and principalities. Some leaders probably already answer to the Spirit Hall. Lan Yuxuan had to be one of those puppets. Yes, Bishop Ferdinand couldn't risk coming himself without attracting the empire's attention, so he sent me. Lan Yuxuan removed his hood, revealing handsome features, sharp eyebrows, piercing eyes, and flowing blue hair. His posture was elegant and refined. Seeing the seat, he frowned, then reluctantly pulled a handkerchief from his pocket, placed it on the chair, and sat at it. Every move was like a masterclass in aristocratic behavior. Did you go to Yuexian? Dai Yao blurted out. Lan Yuxuan looked surprised for a second, then his smile returned, warmer and more genuine this time. Yes, your highness has a keen eye. I did study at Yuexian in the Heaven Dou Empire for a while. No one in the Star Luo Empire has ever guessed it. How did you know? Just a guess, don't sweat it. Dai Yao said casually, not expecting to be right. Where else but Yuexian could turn you into such a paragon of noble manners? Dai Yao complimented Yuexian, but he wasn't all that impressed. If Yuexian was so great, why did Tang San end up with such a warped view of the world? And in the second installment, they created Wang Donger and Wang Qiu'er and messed with Wu Yuhao's love life. In the end, Yuexian was just a finishing school for nobles, teaching them etiquette and dogma. Lan Yuxuan surveyed the surroundings. I watched your highness fight recently and was truly impressed, he said. Judging by your living conditions, your highness works harder than other noble soul masters. Your success is well deserved. After the pleasantries, they got down to business. Now that you're leaving the Star Luo Empire, have you decided where you'll go? Lan Yuxuan asked. The Heaven Dou Empire. Lan Yuxuan smiled. For the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition, I presume. That's right. Dai Yao nodded. Lan Yuxuan paused, then laid out his advice. Since you've chosen the Heaven Dou Empire, I need to make sure you know the lay of the land beforehand. Go on. First, with your strength, any Soul Master Academy would want you. You need to pick one with real potential. Lan Yuxuan began. Second, as a prince of Xingluo, there are 6 academies you should avoid: Heaven Dou Royal Academy, Divine Wind Academy, Blazing Fire Academy, Elephant Armor Academy, Tianshui Academy, and Thunder Academy. Why's that? Dai Yao asked. Heaven Dou Royal Academy is obviously out. It's tied to the Heaven Dou Imperial family. It wouldn't be appropriate for you to join their ranks. As for the other 5, I wouldn't recommend them. The Heaven Dou Empire focuses on specialization, unlike the Star Luo Empire with its emphasis on balance. They develop soul masters in a single direction. The academy names tell you all you need to know. They only recruit soul masters of one element. They might be capable, but they're a waste of your time. Dai Yao nodded, taking it all in. So, what are my options? Lan Yuxuan smiled softly. Besides those 6, there's Lanba Academy, Oakland Academy, Sanhui Academy, Purple Star Academy, and Flame Glory Academy. Sanhui Academy is fairly strong, with a Soul Saint-level master personally teaching students. Lanba Academy is a bit stronger, and may have ties to the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family. Sanhui Academy and Lanba Academy were important in the original story. At Sanhui Academy, the Soul Saint had recruited 7 gem martial soul disciples and used a 7-in-1 martial soul fusion technique. Tang San only won because of his purple demon eye. Dai Ya wasn't interested. Lanba Academy was more familiar. It would later become Shrek Academy. Its founder was Lu Erlong, the illegitimate daughter of a Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus executive, but Dai Yao had no intention of joining Lanba Academy. He didn't want to hang out with the Shrek 7 devils. If he did, he would have gone to the Barak Kingdom to take Dai Mubai's place. What about the other 3? Dai Yao asked. Lan Yuxuan explained, Flame Glory Academy focuses on fire-based soul masters and isn't as good as Blazing Fire Academy. They have to recruit commoner soul masters to fill their ranks. Purple Star Academy has no restrictions. Anyone can enroll as long as they have enough money. The students' abilities vary. They're at the bottom of the barrel, but they can still compete in the promotion tournament. Lastly, Oakland Academy is the strongest. They almost made it to the promotion round in the last competition and beat an Elemental Academy. And more importantly, they have a Soul Master prodigy. The Academy deliberately gave him a spot in the last tournament to train him. He's still young enough to participate this year. Dai Yao was intrigued. Participating in 2 Soul Master Elite tournaments was rare. You had to be strong and young. Dai Yao was struggling. If the academy he joined didn't have teammates on his level, it would be much harder to advance to the Continental Soul Master Elite Tournament. In that case, I'll trust the Spirit Hall and head to Oakland College in a few days. Dai Yao stood and extended his hand. Your Highness, don't worry. The Spirit Hall will ensure your safe passage, Lan Yuxuan said, shaking Dai Yao's hand reassuringly. May the Spirit Hall be blessed. Lan Yuxuan said reverently. Chapter 62 Changes in Chaos Qinglian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Academy was buzzing these days. The Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition, held every 5 years, had just wrapped up. The Xingluo Royal Academy team clinched the championship, triggering celebrations across the country. The place was decked out with lights and decorations. Everyone, from commoners to nobles, joined in celebrating this historic win, which totally overshadowed the buzz around Dai Yao's duel a few days back. In the original story, the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition was held 3 times. Wuguan Palace won twice, and the Star Luo Empire once. Looks like that one time is now. Xingluo Royal Academy had already started prepping potential candidates for the next competition, and they're practically ready to go. Davis is the team captain. The championship-winning Xingluo Royal Academy team just happened to be returning to the academy today, and suddenly, the place was crawling with senior soul masters. Lots of soul masters and even powerful soul sects showed up. Besides all this, something else grabbed Dai Yao's attention. Dai Mubai had vanished. He wasn't putting on his drunk act and strutting around the academy with those twins anymore. Guess he skipped town and left the Star Luo Empire, Dai Yao mused, recalling what Dai Mubai had said during his late-night visit a few days ago. We'll meet up in the Tiando Empire. Then we'll throw down with you Shrek 7 devils for real. Dai Yao got a kick out of that thought. After chatting with Lan Yuxuan, Dai Yao shut himself in, refusing all visitors. He had phoned Wudong bring him his meals 3 times a day. He figured another day had passed. It had been 3 days since his duel with Dai Yaming, counting the day of the duel, that left just 3 days until Dai Hingyu's deadline. Dai Yao sighed, hoping Zhu Zhuqing would get back soon. He faced the waterfall, glanced around to make sure he was alone, and slipped behind the cascading water into the cave. After all this time, he finally had a chance to check out his other martial soul, Chaos Qinglian. Somehow, when he got his first soul ring, Chaos Qinglian had also gotten one of its own. Dai Yao frowned. Twin spirits were supposed to give you a major advantage. When one spirit hits the title Douluo level and you go to attach a soul ring to the second spirit, you only hunted spirit beasts over 50,000 years old. The Chaos Qinglian martial spirit had totally blown that advantage. Now that he was a great soul master, he wondered if anything had changed with Chaos Qinglian. He channeled his soul power, and a green lotus appeared in his left hand. The green light radiated a majestic aura, practically demanding respect. The moment the chaos green lotus appeared, the plants in the entire cave went wild. In just a few breaths, the whole cave transformed into a mini jungle. the vegetation was so dense and lush, despite the lack of sunlight, defying everything he knew about plants, but Daya wasn't surprised by the magic of Chaos Qinglian anymore. The chaotic green lotus slowly spun in his hand as he activated his soul power. 2 soul rings suddenly materialized around the green lotus, 2 purple soul rings, purple, long, regal, mysterious. Daya almost gasped, 2,000-year soul rings. So, his hunch was right, Chaos Qinglian could generate its own soul rings. When he initially tried to stick the earth-walking dragon's 1,000-year soul ring onto Chaos Qinglian, it had clearly rejected it. Since there wasn't another soul ring for him to absorb back then, it must have been the soul ring Chaos Qinglian conceived itself. Could it be that if I keep training, the Chaos Green Lotus martial spirit can still pop out a 10,000-year soul ring, or even a 100,000-year one? He thought, shocked. Breeding a soul ring was an insane ability, but Daya was getting used to this stuff. He was now convinced that this Qinglian was the real deal, the legendary Chaos Qinglian. He also noticed that the original 100-year-old soul ring had morphed into a 1,000-year ring. Dai Yao inhaled sharply. This Chaos Green Lotus couldn't just breed soul rings, it could also boost the lifespan of his existing ones, pushing them to the max that his body could handle. Boosting a soul ring's lifespan was something only the divine test and rewards from the gods could achieve. If the Chaos Green Lotus kept boosting the lifespan of his rings, then when his body could handle the 100,000-year soul ring, the Chaos Green Lotus would not only be able to breed the 100,000-year soul ring, but also upgrade the previous 1,000-year and 10,000-year rings all to 100,000 years. If he ever became a title Douluo, the Chaos Green Lotus martial spirit could reach the insane level of 900,000-year soul rings, 9 blood-red soul rings, terrifying. But then he remembered that Tang San had 900,000-year rings on his clear sky hammer spirit after taking the divine test, and the last deep-sea demonic whale spirit ring even hit 1,000,000 years. Suddenly, Daya wasn't so hyped. The first soul skill of the Chaos Qinglian martial spirit was the god-killing spear, which could break down anything. A seriously OP ability, but what was the second soul skill? Daya was clueless. On a whim, he lit up the second 1,000-year soul ring. The green lotus in his palm morphed into tiny green lights, scattering into the air. Instantly, green light spots filled the cave, gradually forming a green lotus silhouette that enveloped Daya. Then it clicked. This second soul skill made him invincible. No attack could break through the shadow's defense. Only when his soul power ran dry could an enemy hurt him. Sweet! Daya exclaimed. With this skill, as long as he had soul power, no one could break his defense. It was kind of like Xiao Wu's invincible golden body, except the invincible golden body had time and frequency limits. His second soul skill didn't have those drawbacks. The Chaos Qinglian martial spirit had 2 soul skills, one for offense and one for defense, making it a complete package. The first soul skill, the god-killing spear, was incredibly powerful, with attacks that were beyond normal attack methods. The second soul skill was just as mind-blowing. Xiao Wu's invincible golden body was already pushing the limits of normal soul skills, but it had time and frequency limits, while Chaos Qinglian's second soul skill had an invincible state with no time limit. Dai Yao tried to calm himself down. Now, with these 2 soul skills, he finally had a decent shot at protecting himself. He stowed away his martial spirit and stared at the overgrown plants in the cave, feeling a headache coming on. He decided to just ignore it and went back to the waterfall to keep honing his soul power. He'd wait for Zhu Zhuqing to get back, and then they'd ditch the Star Luo Empire together. Night, Dai Yao hopped out of the waterfall and back to the wooden shack. Wrapping up his day of training, he boiled some water and brewed some tea to quench his thirst. As the steam rose, Dai Yao lifted his cup and took a sip. Ha! A jolt of sharp pain shot through his gut. He doubled over, sweating bullets. The tea's poisoned. He instantly figured it out. Someone's trying to get me. Chapter 63 Assassination. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 63, Assassination. The searing pain left Dai Yao reeling. Almost immediately after drinking the tea, the poison flooded his bloodstream and surged through his entire body. The veins beneath his skin turned an unsettling shade of purple. Gotta fight this. He thought desperately. Instantly, the chaotic green lotus in his spiritual space emitted a wave of green light, instantly neutralizing the poison wherever it touched. The pain subsided rapidly, and the purple discoloration noticeably faded. Had it not been for the pool of sweat on the floor and his ragged breathing, the whole ordeal would have felt like a nightmare. Still not careful enough. This close call served as a stark wake-up call. After defeating Dai Yaming, he'd grown complacent, thinking he was safe within the Xingluo Academy. Never let your guard down. He had to burn that lesson into his memory. Your enemies won't hesitate to destroy you. A little more vigilance could be the difference between life and death. Once the danger had passed, Dai Yao's anger flared. Who the hell is trying to kill me? His first thought was Dai Yaming's mother. He'd crushed her son, shattering his chances of becoming a titled Douluo and eliminating him from the succession race, a deep-seated hatred. Indeed, moreover, as a royal concubine, Dai Yaming's mother likely had access to soul bones and commanded powerful connections, making her perfectly capable of orchestrating this. The other suspect was the queen, who now posed a significant obstacle for Davis. The timing was suspicious. His duel with Dai Yaming had just ended. Maybe she was trying to frame Dai Yaming's mother while also eliminating a rival, killing two birds with one stone. These two were the most likely suspects. While other possibilities existed, they were far less probable. Dai Yao stroked his chin, pacing back and forth, trying to determine who had poisoned him. Above, hidden in the shadows beneath the wooden house's rafters, a man watched Dai Yao with astonishment. He was the poisoner. The poison he'd used was no ordinary concoction. It came from the Jade Scale Douluo himself. The Jade Scale Douluo, also known as the Poison Douluo, had earned his title through his mastery of poisons. His knowledge of toxic substances was unmatched on the entire Douluo continent. How could his poison fail to kill a great soul master? The man in the shadows was named Zhu Tao, a member of Xingluo Royal Academy's championship-winning team. With a soul power level exceeding 40, he was considered a prodigy among his peers. More importantly, he was a member of the Zhu family. Upon returning to the academy, he'd received orders from the queen to assassinate Dai Yao. The queen's surname was Zhu. As the emperor's wife, she wielded considerable influence within the Zhu family. And Zhu Tao had good reason to obey her. One of the key reasons they had defeated Wuhandian was due to his soul bone, which had come with strings attached. Soul bones were the ultimate treasure for any soul master. No matter how outrageous the queen's request, he had no choice but to comply. If she ordered him to assassinate the prince, then he would assassinate the prince. Furthermore, being on the Star Luo Royal Academy team gave him easy access to the grounds. The academy was heavily guarded, making it impossible for regular assassins to infiltrate. Zhu Tao had seen Dai Yao collapse, writhing in pain from the snake venom, but then, inexplicably, he'd risen again. Your Highness, he thought, I don't know how you managed to recover, but the Queen wants you dead, and there's no escaping that. I wanted to give you a peaceful death, but now it looks like I'll have to get my hands dirty. He was an agility-based soul master. His martial soul was the Nether Shadow Leopard, a mutated martial soul perfectly suited for assassination. His soul bone skill was a lethal technique that had tormented countless support-type soul masters during the Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite competition. And I, a soul sect master, will take you down like a chump. Zhu Tao thought contemptuously. He unleashed his soul power, immediately activating his martial soul. He seemed to melt into the shadows, leaving a trail of darkness in his wake as he activated his soul bone skill, Dark Night Stab. The intense soul power pressure made it difficult for Dai Yao to even stand. This guy's soul power is incredible. He must be a soul sect. Dai Yao gritted his teeth, struggling against the overwhelming pressure. If he hadn't spent years training under the waterfall, he would have been flat on his back, completely helpless. The truth was, from the moment he'd recovered from the poisoning, his heart had been pounding in his chest. If someone wanted him dead, they would certainly send someone to confirm the kill, and that someone would have to be strong, or he would have sensed them. His training spot was secluded, and since he'd been avoiding visitors, only Feng Wudong was nearby, but he didn't want to alert Feng Wudong. Revealing the assassination attempt would only put her in danger. These people wouldn't hesitate to silence them both. He was on his own. After recovering from the poison, he'd secretly mustered his soul power, bracing for whoever might come, but he hadn't expected someone not only at the soul sect level, but also someone who would unleash a deadly attack without warning, giving him no chance to call for help. Against a soul sect, the white tiger spirit has no chance. Dai Yao remained surprisingly calm in the face of death. The cold, lethal light hurtled towards him. In the blink of an eye, a brilliant green lotus bloomed, completely enveloping Dai Yao. When the light struck the lotus, it impacted something seemingly impenetrable, unable to advance even a fraction of an inch. What is this? Zhu Tao wondered in shock. How could a great soul master block a soul sect's soul bone skill? It was completely beyond belief. After slamming into the green lotus, the light gradually dissipated into stardust. Looking up, he saw a green lotus floating in Dai Yao's hand, with 2 purple soul rings slowly spinning around him. The second purple soul ring shimmered. 2,000-year soul rings. How can a great soul master absorb 1,000-year rings? Zhu Tao stared blankly at the lotus in Dai Yao's hand, before suddenly realizing. No. You're a twin martial soul user, that he exclaimed. Before the assassination, he had studied Dai Yao extensively and knew his martial soul was the sacred white tiger, one of the most powerful beast spirits. The lotus in Dai Yao's hand was clearly a second martial soul. What have I gotten myself into? Zhu Tao felt like crying. He hadn't expected his target to possess twin martial souls. Now that he'd antagonized Dai Yao, there was no turning back. He couldn't let Dai Yao live. As long as Dai Yao survived and grew stronger, he would surely die. From Zhu Tao activating his soul bone skill to Dai Yao releasing his second soul skill, Chaos Qinglian, only a few breaths passed. Dai Yao's soul power was far greater than that of an average great soul master, but even so, using the second soul skill consumed half of his energy. The enemy was still ready to attack. Dai Yao's heart sank, calculating his remaining soul power. He still had one shot. His hope for survival rested on his first soul skill, God-slaying gun. Chapter 64 Deprivation of Soul Bones. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Edited content Chapter 64, Soul Bone Theft. He actually blocked my soul bone skill. Zhu Tao's eyes went wide as he watched Dai Yao deflect his attack. He was a soul sect member, after all. And he'd used a soul bone skill, something that even equally ranked attack-type soul masters would fear. He'd defeated countless strong opponents with this move in the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition. Now, a great soul master had blocked it. What is this guy? Regret washed over Zhu Tao. He wished he hadn't taken the Queen's order. Dai Yao wasn't just a twin martial soul, he could block a soul sect member's attack as a great soul master. His talent was off the charts. Now, Zhu Tao had no choice but to eliminate Dai Yao. He gave Dai Yao a cold look and said, Your Highness, keeping the twin martial soul a secret. Too bad that secret dies with you. Huh. That's when it hit Dai Yao. This guy wasn't a pro. Professional killers are silent and efficient, just killing machines. This guy wouldn't shut up, and didn't act like a killer. Oh. Since I'm doomed anyway, why not tell me who wants me dead? Give me some closure. Dai Yao said, carefully. His soul power was already surging in his second soul ring, ready to deploy his second soul skill if things went south. He was trying to find out who was behind this, but also to buy time. The college had special night watchmen to protect it. They might have noticed the commotion. If he could just stall, he might survive. Humph, you're being sensible for once. Zhu Tao sneered. He already considered Dai Yao dead. He doubted Dai Yao could keep using that defensive skill. Powerful moves drain a lot of soul power. A great soul master who could block a soul sect attack. That had to be a top-tier skill, and he was probably running on fumes. Hearing Zhu Tao about to reveal the mastermind, Dai Yao felt a surge of adrenaline, but kept his face neutral. The one who wants you dead is. Just as Zhu Tao spoke, a beam of light pierced the distant sky, and a massive wave of soul power crashed against the cabin. The Academy's night watchman, fast approaching. Damn it! You're stalling. Zhu Tao roared, realizing Dai Yao's plan. You die today. Prepare to die. Soul power erupted from Zhu Tao, who finally prepared to use a soul skill. His fourth purple soul ring blazed, and the sheer power made it hard for Dai Yao to breathe. Almost there. Dai Yao thought, regretting the night watchman's timing. A few seconds later, and he would have known who was behind this. Seeing Zhu Tao unleash his soul skill, he wasn't surprised, but thrilled. A real assassin, blowing a hit and facing exposure, would cut and run. Zhu Tao wasn't thinking about escaping, confirming Dai Yao's suspicions. A pro killer would have been a real problem. This guy knew about his twin martial souls. If he escaped, that secret would be out, creating endless trouble. Now, he had a chance to kill him. He had to keep him here, even if it meant getting hurt. Besides, even if he got hurt, Qinglian could heal him. Without another moment to lose, his soul power surged, and the first purple soul ring on Qinglian blazed to life. First soul skill, God-killing spear, that the green lotus in his palm grew rapidly. The rhizome morphed into a spear shaft. The lotus and leaves closed, forming the spear tip. But the lotus spear was plain, the lotus and spear tip was dark, nothing like the fresh green of the green lotus. Seeing Dai Yao use his first soul skill, Zhu Tao burst out laughing. You think your first skill can stop my fourth? Pathetic. Dai Yao ignored him. Holding the god-killing spear, he slipped into a focused state. It wasn't just a spear, but a law, the law of decomposition. Like a game GM, he could destroy anything with a thought. Of course, the god-killing spear wasn't that strong. Now, the assassin in front of him looked like an energy being, a human shape made of blue light. Except for the left arm, which was black. Looking closer, the left arm was a mix of blue and black, but the black stood out. What's on his left arm? Dai Yao wondered. He poured his soul power into the god-killing spear, activating decomposition. The blue energy being began to disintegrate, starting with the black-flecked left arm. Activating the god-killing spear was rapidly depleting Dai Yao's soul power. Zhu Tao, still channeling his soul skill, suddenly stopped, clutching his left arm in agony, and screamed. The soul bone in his left arm was being ripped from his body. What kind of soul skill is that? He writhed on the ground, teeth clenched. Every breath and effort, the black light spot separated first, creating a gaping, bloody hole in Zhu Tao's left arm. A dark soul bone clattered to the ground. Dai Yao didn't hesitate. He rushed forward and plunged the god-killing spear into the assassin's chest. It slid in effortlessly, as if piercing paper. In a flash, Dai Yao had turned the tables. Zhu Tao stared blankly at the spear in his chest, feeling a force tearing him apart. His eyes followed the spear to the person holding it, finally focusing on Dai Yao's face. He was filled with regret. He had a bright future. A member of the Star Luo Royal Academy team, a genius soul master, destined for greatness in the Star Luo Empire. Now he was dying, his future gone. Bitterness and regret surged. He seethed with hatred. Why had he agreed to the queen's request? Then, Zhu Tao's body began to dissolve, his eyes, mouth, nose, flesh, organs, and blood turning to dust, scattered on the wind. Dai Yao gasped for air, his body drained, as if he'd been pulled from water. The god-killing spear was used for just a few breaths, but it had consumed all his soul power. Still, it was a small price to pay for his life. Chapter 65 Farewell to Xingluo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 65 Farewell to Xingluo. The first time he used the god-killing spear, it wiped him out. He crawled back to the house and was bedridden for days. This time, he felt much better. Just weak, with fewer side effects. Man, it's good to be alive. Dai Yao gasped. The air practically tasted sweet. Spotting the dark bone, a word popped into his head. Soul bone. That he picked it up, examining it in his hand. It was a left arm bone, cool to the touch. Feeling the soul power pulsing inside, Dai Yao knew for sure it was a soul bone. Looks like our assassin friend led with a soul bone skill. Thinking back to Zhu Tao's attack from the rafters, no soul rings had lit up. It was a cruel and sneaky hit. This soul bone skill must be for assassinations. The massive soul power shook the trees. Dai Yao realized the night watch was on its way. He tossed the soul bone into the lake and waited for them to arrive. 10 breaths later, a figure materialized in the cabin, a man in a gray robe, completely shrouded, not a patch of skin showing. He brought with him a tidal wave of soul power. The cabin shuddered, doors and windows groaned, on the verge of collapse. The moment the gray-robed man stepped inside, Dai Yao was slammed to the ground, pinned by the sheer force of his soul power. Realizing the problem, the gray-robed man reined it in. He said nothing. Dai Yao scrambled to his feet, and the grey-robed man scrutinized him, then began a methodical search of the cabin. Dai Yao's heart sank as the grey-robed man tore the place apart. If they figured out he'd been attacked, they'd dig into how he survived and where the assassin had gone. He couldn't explain it. The assassin was dust. He couldn't reveal his twin martial souls. Master Night Watcher, anything I can help you with tonight? Dai Yao grabbed a teacup and offered it to the man in the grey robe. He ignored him, hovering up to examine the rafters. He swept the area, then stopped dead at the beam, extending a pale hand to touch it. A cold sweat broke out on Dai Yao's back. The beam was exactly where the assassin had been. He tried to keep his voice steady. Sir Night Watchman, is there something wrong with the beam? The grey-robed man remained silent. He then shot out of the cabin. He unleashed his spiritual power, blanketing the entire training ground. When his power washed over the lake, Dai Yao distinctly heard him mutter, "Huh." But the grey-robed man froze in mid-air, giving Dai Yao a long, hard look. Then his soul power surged, and he was gone. Weird. Dai Yao was baffled by the whole thing. The Night Watcher clearly knew there had been an assassination attempt, and he found the soul bone. Yet, he didn't press him. He just left, confused by the Night Watchman's attitude. Dai Yao didn't dare retrieve the soul bone just yet. Tonight's events ratcheted up his unease, the assassination attempt, the Night Watchman's inscrutable behavior. Ever since he beat Dai Yaming, things had gotten progressively more dangerous. He desperately needed to get out of the Star Luo Empire. Zhu Zhuqing, hurry up. Third uncle's deadline is closing in. If you don't get back soon, I might not be able to leave. As Dai Yao mulled this over, a fiery red figure landed beside him. What's wrong? I felt a surge of soul power here, Feng Wudong asked anxiously. Nothing, just practicing my soul skills, Dai Yao said with a dismissive smile. Practicing soul skills? Feng Wudong clearly didn't buy it. Seriously, it's nothing. Go to bed. It's late for you to be out here alone. Dai Yao played it cool. Humph. Feng Wudong blushed. You think I want to be with you? She summoned her martial soul and flew off toward her residence. Feeling the cold wind, Feng Wudong was a little disappointed. She knew Dai Yao was just trying to get rid of her. Ugh, with a sigh, she went back to her thatched hut and looked out the window. Under the bright moonlight, his figure stood alone by the pond, lost in thought. The next day, Zhu Zhuqing finally returned to the academy. A small smile touched her otherwise cold face when she saw Dai Yao. She took his hand softly and said, I got my second soul ring. Dai Yao stroked Zhu Zhuqing's hair like she was a kitten. He was used to her being around. These past few days apart had felt strange. Good job, Dai Yao said. After a moment of tenderness, Dai Yao said, we're leaving the Star Luo Empire tonight. Tonight? Zhu Zhuqing was surprised. Yeah, if we don't go now, we won't get another chance. I need to tell Lan Yuxuan to get ready. Go pack your things and let's get out of here. Seeing Dai Yao's serious expression, Zhu Zhuqing realized the urgency. She nodded, her nether master martial soul activating, and disappeared into the forest like a black afterimage. Dai Yao headed in the opposite direction to find Lan Yuxuan. Night fell. Under the cover of darkness, Dai Yao and Zhu Zhuqing slipped through the teaching area to a secluded exit from the college. This was the rendezvous point with Lan Yuxuan. They were both dressed in simple, commoner clothes. Zhu Zhuqing had traded in her usual leather pants. Her figure was now draped in linen, making her look much more plain. They looked like a couple of ordinary citizens. When Dai Yao greeted Lan Yuxuan, he almost didn't recognize him. Nice disguises, almost missed you, Lan Yuxuan said. Even though Lan Yuxuan had threatened to expel Dai Yao and the others, he didn't call him on his lies. He got straight to the point. How do we get out of the Star Luo Empire? Lan Yuxuan led them away from the academy to a large open area where 8 carriages were parked. There are 8 carriages here. Your Highness will be in one of them. The other 7 are decoys. Understanding the Spirit Hall's plan, Dai Yao felt a sense of relief. 7 decoys would maximize his safety. Once he was beyond the borders of the Star Luo Empire, he'd be home free. Thank you. I won't forget your kindness today. Dai Yao clasped his fists in thanks. Lan Yuxuan was taken aback. He hadn't expected a genius like Dai Yao to thank him. He dropped his aristocratic pretense. Don't mention it. I'm just following orders from the spirit hall. Dai Yao helped Zhu Zhuqing into the carriage, then hopped in after her. The driver cracked the whip and the horses whinnied. The carriage lurched forward, passing through the streets, through the imperial city gates, and out onto the open road. Only the cold moonlight shone down on the retreating figures. Thank you for reading. Chapter 66 One Letter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 66, A Letter. This chapter focuses on Feng Wudong. Feel free to skip if you're not interested. The next day, Xingluo Royal Academy, practice grounds for mimicry. Energetic footsteps echoed through the forest. Someone was definitely in a good mood. A flash of fiery red danced among the trees, like an elf. It was Feng Wudong, clutching a lunchbox. She glanced towards the nearby waterfall, her thoughts bubbling with excitement. Today's menu is pepper steak stir-fry, 2 veggie sides, and chicken soup. Dai Yao loves that. Zhu Zhuqing's departure from Xingluo Royal Academy was actually her gain. She knew that because Dai Yao was a prince, it was impossible for them to be together, and her martial spirit, Blazing Bird, was only pretty good, so, even though she was crushing on Dai Yao, she kept it hidden, maintaining a safe distance. She even became bros with Dai Yao just to have a legitimate reason to hang around him, but with Zhu Zhuqing gone, nobody was making Dai Yao's meals. Since Dai Yao didn't know many people at the academy, and didn't want some random person handling his food, the job naturally fell to Feng Wudong. Of course, there were perks, but more than the perks, Feng Wudong treasured those brief conversations she had while dropping off his lunch. That short time was what she looked forward to most each day. She overheard some girls chattering in the woods. They wanted to meet the legendary Dai Yao. Humph. Feng Wudong scowled. Those gold diggers used to sneer at Dai Yao, and now they're all swarming him. So pathetic. But then she remembered how cold Dai Yao was to them, and her expression softened. Shaking off thoughts of those girls, Feng Wudong arrived at Dai Yao's usual training spot. She noticed that the figure who'd been meditating under the waterfall for 3 years was gone. She sighed softly. Maybe he's in the cave behind the waterfall. Makes sense. Zhu Qing came back yesterday. He usually trains in the cave with her. Only Zhu Zhuqing could make Dai Yao skip his training, Feng Wudong thought ruefully, but she couldn't bring herself to feel jealous. Zhu Zhuqing was in a league of her own. Sure, people said she was a beauty, but next to Zhu Zhuqing, she paled in comparison. After a few leaps, she reached the waterfall, the spray soaking the hem of her skirt. Dai Yao, Zhu Qing, I brought lunch. She called out. Silence. She shouted again, but the cave remained silent. Why aren't they answering? Maybe they're not in the cave. Feng Wudong hesitated. She'd shouted loudly enough that they should have heard her, even with the waterfall in the way, but the cave was their private space. Whether they were there or not, it was bad form to barge in. After more hesitation, the lunchbox in her hand started to cool. Gritting her teeth, she plunged through the waterfall. The sight inside the cave stopped her in her tracks. The cave was empty. The cold, damp space had been transformed into a miniature jungle, with trees growing like crazy and flowers blooming everywhere. How did this happen? Feng Wudong exclaimed in surprise, but she didn't dwell on the strangeness. Scanning the area and finding it empty, she leaped back through the waterfall. Where did they go? Could they be doing that kind of stuff in his room? And they're only 9. Feng Wudong shook her head, trying to banish the image from her mind. A few more leaps brought her to Dai Yao's cabin. She knocked, no answer. I'm coming in. She pushed the door and was surprised to find it unlocked. The wooden door creaked open, and her eyes widened, her jaw dropping. The lunchbox slipped from her fingers, crashing to the floor, scattering vegetables and rice, and spilling chicken soup everywhere. The cabin was empty, and lots of stuff was missing, like it had been ransacked. I should have known. I should have known the second Dai Yao stopped training under the waterfall. Feng Wudong's heart ached. Dai Yao was gone. She'd noticed his strange behavior over the past few days, but the joy of spending time with him had overshadowed everything. Now that this moment had arrived, all those little signs from the other day came flooding back. As if her legs had given out, she sank to the ground, leaning against the doorframe to keep from collapsing completely. Her fiery red hair seemed to have lost its luster. She stared blankly at the empty cabin. Grief washing over her, she knew she could never be with Dai Yao. She knew he had a beautiful fiancée like Zhu Zhuqing, so she tried to suppress her feelings, but Dai Yao's silent farewell had shattered her fiery spirit. A simple heads-up would have been nice. Dai Yao's departure without a word was proof that he didn't see Feng Wudong as a friend. Her enthusiasm of the last 3 years seemed like a joke. The gold coins she'd been paid for bringing his lunches seemed to mock her. "That's how a noble behaves, no sympathy," Feng Wudong said through tears. "I'm just a nobody, what was I even thinking?" 3 years ago, when Dai Yao had grabbed her throat with his cold hands, he'd left a mark on her heart. She slapped her face. "Get a grip. Stop acting like a fool." As she slapped her face, she noticed a letter sitting on the wooden table. Feng Wudong walked over and picked it up. A few words were written on the envelope. Asterisk to Feng Wudong, to be opened in person, star. Seeing those words, Feng Wudong's mood instantly shifted from despair to elation. She couldn't help but cringe at her earlier dramatic meltdown. She tore open the envelope and read, Asterisk to Feng Wudong, to be opened in person and burned after reading, star. Asterisk only you ever come to the cabin, so only you will be able to read this, star. Asterisk by the time you read this, Zhu Qing and I will have left the Star Luo Empire and headed to the Tiando Empire, asterisk. Asterisk this is a matter of great importance, so please forgive me for not telling you beforehand. The letter is all I can do, star. Asterisk the last 3 years have been better than family. Sadly, your mutated martial soul is a side effect. You need to stay at the hot springs to suppress your inner fire, and you can't come with us, star. Asterisk thank you for keeping us company over the past 3 years. I will definitely help you find a solution to the side effects of your martial soul, but it will take time, star. Asterisk if you leave Star Luo Royal Academy, be sure to leave your whereabouts so I can notify you when I find a solution, star. Asterisk finally, thank you, Wudong, star. Reading the end, Feng Wudong couldn't help but smile. Seriously, you little brat, trying to sound like an adult. Does he think anyone doesn't know how old he is? Fool. What are the chances of curing my martial spirit? Even the teachers at Xingluo Royal Academy can't figure it out. But I'll remember the thought. The self-pitying Feng Wudong from before had completely vanished. After cleaning up the cabin, she went to the edge of the pool, looked in the water, and began to comb her hair. Her fiery red hair burned like a flame as it cascaded down her back. After a few moments, Feng Wudong had changed her appearance. Reflected in the water was a striking figure, incredibly fierce. The most noticeable feature was her high ponytail. Chapter 67 News leaked. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 67, News leak. Star Luo Royal Academy, Vice Principal's office. Dai Hengyu, looking stressed behind his gold-rimmed glasses, stared at the documents concerning Dai Yaming's withdrawal. Suddenly, a black mist materialized in the room. It quickly dissipated, revealing a grey-robed figure kneeling on one knee. It was the same man who'd appeared at Dai Yao's house days earlier. Turns out, the man in grey wasn't a night watchman at all, but one of Dai Hengyu's personal shadow guards. Did Dai Yao make it out of the city all right? Dai Hengyu asked, not looking up. The Fourth Highness is safe and sound. With the Spirit Hall's protection, he should reach the Heaven Do Empire without issue, the guard replied. Good. Recall our people then, before the Queen's spies spot them. It'll be hard to explain their presence otherwise, Dai Hengyu instructed. Yes, Your Majesty. As the grey-robed man turned to leave, Dai Hengyu paused him. What happened to Dai Yao the other day? My lord, there was an assassination attempt on the fourth prince the night before last. What? Why wasn't I informed? Dai Hengyu demanded, his voice rising. Your Majesty has sacrificed enough for the Fourth Highness. We didn't want to involve you, the guard replied, head bowed. Dai Hengyu fixed him with a cold stare. You've been with me long enough to know my character. Consider this a warning, given our history. If anything like this happens again, you can return to Shadow Nest permanently. These guards were trained to be utterly devoted to one person. If their master rejected them, they were forced to return to their training grounds, never to leave. "Thank you for your mercy, your majesty," the grey-robed man said, bowing deeply, relief evident in his tone. He knew he'd pushed it. Given Dai Hingyu's personality, he'd likely be discarded if it wasn't for his master's care. Loyalty was everything in the royal family. Even a Contra wasn't safe without it. "Tell me everything about that night," Dai Hingyu said, dropping the matter. "Yes, your highness. Judging by the residual soul power, a soul sect attacked the Fourth Highness. Realistically, there's no reason he should have survived. Yet, not only did he live, but the attacker vanished without a trace. I also detected a surge of soul power in the lake near his residence. Based on my experience, it was likely a soul bone." Dai Hingyu's eyes narrowed. He thought to himself, the spirit hall must value Dai Yao greatly to let him survive an attack like that. He must be a valuable asset, and the kids playing it smart, resisting the soul bone's temptation and tossing it in the lake. Makes me confident he'll be safe in Heaven Do. Has this information been shared with anyone else? Dai Hingyu asked. No one. Then keep it buried. If I hear so much as a whisper of this from another source, consider yourself back in Shadow Nest. Yes. The Academy's security is tight. How did an assassin get in? Have you investigated? Dai Hingyu inquired. According to the Academy's defenses, an ordinary soul sect wouldn't be capable of infiltration. I've investigated all suspicious individuals, and there's one prime suspect. Oh. Who? Zhu Tao, the agility-based soul master on the Star Luo Royal Academy team. Dai Hingyu sneered. Zhu Tao, of the Zhu family. That meddling queen. Pulling strings right under my nose. Daring to attack Dai Yao while in my academy. In that case, hold on to Dai Yaming's withdrawal papers. Let him cause Davis some trouble. Immediately, he added, even with Dai Yao gone, we can't let the news spread. We'll keep it under wraps for as long as possible. The grey-robed man said, Your Highness, tomorrow is our limit. After that, we won't be able to conceal the fact that the Fourth Highness went to the Spirit Hall. Alright, do what you can, Dai Hingyu sighed. Days later, the news of His Highness's move to the Spirit Hall became impossible to suppress. The fifth elder of the palace was the first to find out, a prince going to the Spirit Hall to register as a soul master. It made the Star Luo Empire look inferior to the Spirit Hall. The fifth elder was furious. He immediately understood Dai Yao's intentions and the meaning behind Bishop Ferdinand's knowing smile during their duel. That little sneak. He hid his plans to seek refuge in the Spirit Hall, teaming up with that fat bastard Ferdinand to fool me. I won't let this get out easily. How could I hold my position as fifth elder, that the prince was the face of the Star Luo Empire? The fact that he would even want to join the Spirit Hall suggested that the fifth elder had failed to educate him. Go. Head to Star Luo Royal Academy and bring Dai Yao back immediately. The fifth elder barked at his subordinates. His red hair seemed to burn with uncontrollable rage. Hours later, his subordinates returned, breathless. Elder, it's bad. According to his classmates, the fourth prince disappeared several days ago. What? He planned this from the start. The fifth elder shot to his feet, his powerful frame trembling. Though he seemed like a brute, he was far from stupid. He realized, since he's been gone for days, and I only just got the news, someone must be helping him secretly. The Spirit Hall doesn't have that kind of influence here, so it must be someone from my own royal family. That brat, Dai Hingyu, star. We'll deal with Dai Hingyu later. First, we have to catch Dai Yao. That the fifth elder knew there wasn't time for protocol. He couldn't notify the emperor. By the time the order reached the border gates, Dai Yao would be long gone. He would have to handle this personally. Spreading a map of the Star Luo Empire, he quickly identified the likeliest escape routes. He ordered his subordinates, inform the royal family of this news. I'm personally going to intercept Dai Yao, that rebellious nephew of mine." His subordinates broke into a cold sweat. The fifth elder was a demon in his youth, fearing nothing and gaining the reputation of a bloodthirsty tiger. Many were terrified by his name alone. Though he now resided in the palace, no one underestimated him. They couldn't help but feel sorry for Dai Yao. Being hunted by the bloodthirsty tiger would bring nothing good. In the palace, a ball of red flame erupted, shooting into the sky and racing towards the horizon. The sky turned blood red, as if ablaze. The raw, powerful energy made countless citizens of Star Luo Imperial City fall to the ground, staring in shock. A powerhouse was on the move. At the same time, in the spirit hall, the fat bishop opened his eyes. Chapter 68 Wuguan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Edited content, Chapter 68 Wuguan. They were in a carriage, rolling down the main road. Dai Yao finished his meditation, took a deep breath, and handed Zhu Zhuqing a bottle of water. "You must be thirsty." Her tone was cool, but the sentiment warmed him. "Thanks." He took a swig, then leaned out the front, asking the driver, "How much further to Wuguan, uncle?" Wuguan was a border checkpoint for the Star Luo Empire, not the closest, but not the furthest either. The other 7 carriages had taken different routes out of the country, all acting as decoys for he'd picked an unnoticeable path. If the other carriages drew enough attention, he should be able to slip away unnoticed. It had been 10 days and nights since they left the capital. He'd been pushing hard, changing horses and drivers with help from the spirit hall in every town they reached. He was moving faster than even an agility-based soul master could manage at full speed. They'd swapped drivers at the last town. This one was beat. "Almost there," the man replied. "Another day and a night, and we'll be at Wuguan." "But I'm about done for, mister. Gotta swap me out in the next town." "Of course, thanks," Dai Yao replied. "Don't sweat it. The spirit hall's paying good money. A gold soul coin, that'll keep me going for months after this." The driver grinned, despite his fatigue. A gold soul coin, Dai Yao thought, a wave of irony washing over him. For a soul master, it was just a couple of meals, but for a commoner, it was months of living expenses. He went back inside. The carriage was built of special materials that blocked sound and spirit power, keeping it from leaking out. Lan Yuxuan had told him some noblemen had them made specially for, well, you could imagine. Staring at the passing scenery, Dai Yao felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. A new environment always brought anxieties. In the Heaven Do Empire, he'd finally meet the characters from the story, Huo Wu, Ning Rongrong, the Qianshui team. His face softened. "What's on your mind?" Zhu Zhuqing asked, noticing his expression and frowning. She didn't know what he was thinking, but she was sure it wasn't good. He had that same look the lecherous guys gave her. "Xianyao, are you thinking about someone else, even when I'm right here?" She sounded petulant. Dai Yao immediately sobered. "No, it's nothing. I was just thinking about Feng Wudong again." Zhu Zhuqing just rolled her eyes. Remembering something from the letter, she asked, "What you wrote about helping Wudong with the side effects of her spirit, is that true?" "Absolutely." That his plan involved the coxcomb phoenix sunflower. In the original story, Ma Hongjun had used it to get rid of his own excess fire, and even slimmed down and gotten more handsome. Bird spirits with fire attributes, like the coxcomb and the phoenix sunflower, would work here too. The Academy can't solve the problems caused by spirit mutations in commoners. "How can you?" "Don't give Wudong false hope," Zhu Zhuqing said, worried. "I've got a trick up my sleeve," Dai Yao said with a knowing smile. He playfully tweaked her cat ears. "Don't forget, I can evolve your spirit. Fixing a side effect is nothing." He reached inside his coat and pulled out the dark soul bone. It radiated cold, chilling his chest. It was Zhu Tao's. He held it out to Zhu Zhuqing. "Here, this is for you. It's a good match for your abilities." "A soul bone?" Zhu Zhuqing gasped, eyes wide. Every soul master knew how rare they were. Even if it didn't suit them, they'd keep it, treasure it. Yet Dai Yao was casually offering her this precious gift. Even a married couple wouldn't be so generous. Thank you, Zhu Zhuqing said, biting her lip, the two words heavy with emotion. They weren't even married yet, but a relationship required mutual sacrifice. Ever since they met, all she'd done for Dai Yao were small things, like making him lunch, or tidying up, but what had Dai Yao done? He'd forgiven her for trying to assassinate him, and given her a soul bone. In the duel with Zhu Zhuqing, he'd saved her life. She felt unequal, as if she was not worthy. The guilt weighed heavily on her. Hey, what's wrong? Dai Yao asked, noticing her distress. It's not a great fit for me. I'm more of a powerhouse, and this thing makes me feel cold. Your spirit thrives in darkness. It's perfect for you. Besides, it's only a few thousand years old. I don't like it much. Dai Yao added, exaggerating his arrogance. Zhu Zhuqing burst out laughing. Soul bones are so precious, and you turn up your nose at one that's thousands of years old. How old does one have to be to impress you? At least 100,000. Only Zhu Zhuqing could hear him, so he just made something up. Nonsense, Zhu Zhuqing said, giggling, but in the original story, most of Tang San's soul bones were hundreds of thousands of years old, and the deep-sea demon whale's torso bone was 1,000,000 years old. Compared to that, Dai Yao's words weren't nonsense at all. His antics had lifted the tension in the carriage. 10 days and nights of constant travel would wear down even a soul master, but while he tried to lighten the mood, the shadow hanging over them wouldn't fade until they were out of the Star Luo Empire. Time flew. Before they knew it, they reached Wuguan. The city walls were 20 feet high. Up close, they blocked out the sun. The stone was dark with age. Countless people from the Heaven Do Empire had died defending it, their blood soaking into the ground and staining the walls a dark, rusty red. It was a grim place, and you could feel the oppressive atmosphere hanging in the air. The gates were open. Soldiers in chainmail carefully inspected the people and carriages passing through. They were battle-hardened veterans, radiating an aura that discouraged any hint of arrogance. The soldier opened the door, glanced inside, and saw what looked like a pair of peasant children. He waved them through. Let's go. The driver, a new one, cracked his whip, and the carriage rumbled forward. As they passed through the gate, the darkness slowly turned to light. Not just physically, but in his heart, too. He yearned for freedom. Finally out of the Star Luo Empire. Dai Yao thought, hugging Zhu Zhuqing and kissing her hard. Her face flushed bright red, but they weren't far past the gate when the sky over the Star Luo Empire suddenly lit up. Chapter 69 Captured. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 69, Captured. The sky above the Star Luo Empire blazed suddenly, a fiery red color erupting and spreading like wildfire. The entire horizon seemed to be ablaze. A crushing pressure descended, and a figure materialized in the sky, slowly landing atop Wuguan City. The sheer force of his spiritual energy nearly brought everyone to their knees. Birds scattered in terror, and wild animals roared in fear. Even the horses pulling Dai Yao's carriage were spooked, rearing up on their hind legs. Only the coachman's desperate efforts kept them from bolting off the road. Despite the oppressive energy, the guards at Wuguan struggled to maintain their composure. One of them pointed a trembling finger at the figure on the city wall. Who goes there? This is Wuguan. You're not permitted to cause such a disturbance. The figure on the wall gave the soldier an approving look. Good, you're true soldiers of the Star Luo Empire. I am the 5th elder of the Dai family. By order of the Emperor, I am sealing off Wuguan effective immediately. A person of importance is attempting to defect, and I need your assistance. The 5th elder had raced through several checkpoints, finding only empty carriages. He'd immediately deduced that these were decoys. The real carriages containing Dai Yao were not among them. After securing those passes, he'd sped towards the other likely escape routes, Wuguan being the last. After presenting the golden edict, the soldier barked, "Close the city gates." With a deafening clang, the massive city gates, weighing tons, swung shut, severing all passage to the Tiando Empire. Watching the soldiers scrambling to their posts, the 5th elder stroked his beard and chuckled, "You little rascal. I've blocked every road. Where do you think you're going to run?" The people and carriages that had just crossed the border sped up to reach the Tiando Empire. The residents of Xingluo returned to Wuguan to wait for the gates to reopen. From the moment Dai Yao saw the strange light on the horizon, a sense of dread had washed over him. The sight of the figure descending upon the city confirmed his worst fears. It was the fifth elder. He urged the coachman to calm the horses and flee as quickly as possible. The fifth elder scanned the chaotic crowd in the distance and asked a nearby soldier, "Have you checked those people? Anything unusual?" "Unusual in what way, sir?" the soldier asked. "A child, around 9 or 10 years old." "Yes, there were several children, all dressed as commoners." "A boy and a girl?" "Yes." "Where?" The soldier pointed to Dai Yao's carriage. "Over there." An immense wave of spiritual energy exploded outward, swirling up dust and leaves into a vortex that expanded rapidly. The fleeing travelers were engulfed in a choking cloud, coughing and gasping for air. The air crackled as the fifth elder transformed into a streak of light, hurtling toward the carriage. In the blink of an eye, he was above them. Well, you weren't so hard to find after all," the fifth elder boomed. "Come back with me." He focused his crushing spiritual power directly on the carriage. Dai Yao and the two inside cried out and crumpled to the ground, paralyzed by the force. The coachman coughed up blood and lost consciousness. The horses' legs snapped, and they crashed to the ground, whimpering in pain. The fifth elder intensified the pressure, and with a deafening explosion, the carriage disintegrated, scattering splinters and revealing two children, around 9 or 10 years of age, pinned beneath the oppressive weight. Dai Yao felt as if a mountain had been dropped on him. He was utterly helpless. A bitter taste filled his mouth. He'd done everything he could. He'd used 8 carriages as decoys, pushing them day and night for over 10 days, barely stopping to eat or sleep. He'd exhausted every option, yet the fifth elder had still found him. Am I truly unable to escape the fate of the White Tiger clan? He thought, a wave of despair washing over him. Zhu Zhuqing was writhing in agony beside him. Dai Yao looked at her, his expression full of remorse. I'm sorry, he whispered. I've dragged you into this. Despite the pain etched on her face, Zhu Zhuqing managed a weak smile. No, the last 3 years with you have been the happiest of my life. The fifth elder scoffed. With a flick of his wrist, Dai Yao and Zhu Zhuqing were lifted into the air. Daring to defy the clan's rules? Have you lost your mind? Come back with me and repent before the ancestral steels. Show remorse, and you might still have a chance. The forest of steels was where the family dealt with its wrongdoers. Those who had transgressed the rules would be sent there to reflect on their sins. If their remorse was sincere, they could eventually regain their freedom, but the two before him seemed resigned to their fate, as if awaiting slaughter. A seed of doubt began to sprout in his mind. Don't you have anything to say? What is there to say? Fifth elder. Since we're already in your grasp, reflecting in the forest of steels is our only option. Do I have a choice? Dai Yao said, a sneer twisting his lips. I do have one request. You are in no position to make demands. You are a disgrace to the White Tiger family. The fifth elder snapped. Dai Yao possessed such immense talent, so why did he choose to abandon the Star Luo Empire? Fifth elder, please, let Zhu Zhuqing go. She's not a member of my White Tiger family. The family's rules shouldn't apply to her. Dai Yao pleaded, lowering his head. Before the fifth elder could respond, Zhu Zhuqing's eyes widened in disbelief. I'm your fiancé. Why am I not part of the Dai family? Dai Yao groaned inwardly. He'd never seen Zhu Zhuqing so agitated. Don't make a fuss. We're already in this mess. Why argue about this now? The fifth elder's expression darkened. This was supposed to be a life or death moment, but it had devolved into this? He wasn't here to watch them bicker. Enough. Dai Yao, you're lucky to have a woman like Zhuqing. She's right. As your fiancé, she is a member of the Dai family. Even in death, she'll be a ghost of the Dai family. Dai Yao's heart sank. Who wanted to be born into the Dai family? After so many years of suffering, where was the Dai family? He gave Zhu Zhuqing a wry smile. Why are you doing this? If you had a chance to escape, why did you have to throw it away? Life in the forest of steels will be anything but pleasant. Zhu Zhuqing smiled sweetly, shedding her usual aloofness. I'm your fiancé. We share both blessings and hardships. How could I abandon you? That the fifth elder was known as the bloodthirsty tiger, ruthless to outsiders but fiercely protective of his own. Even though Dai Yao had attempted to defect, he still hoped to bring him back. He looked at Dai Yao, his voice tinged with warning. Reflect on your mistakes in the forest of steels. The family is never wrong. If you change your mind, I will ensure you have another opportunity to compete for the throne. Hearing these words, Dai Yao's heart plummeted. He had left the Star Luo Empire precisely because he could no longer stay. Returning now was as good as signing his own death warrant. Davis would use clan discipline to punish him, and the fifth elder would be powerless to intervene. The fifth elder was bound by the rules, but the rules also constrained him. The only way out was to reveal his twin martial souls. Dai Yao looked up at the sky, a sense of utter hopelessness washing over him. Is there really no other way? But at that moment, a familiar power surged from his palm, the same power he'd felt in the spirit hall. It was the power of Platinum Bishop Ferdinand. Chapter 70 The Contest of Contra. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 70 The Showdown. Dai Yao instantly grasped Ferdinand's game. Ferdinand's here, hiding in the shadows. He's trying to force my hand, make me declare my allegiance to the spirit hall. But Dai Yao wasn't ready to jump on board with the spirit hall just yet. He spoke up. Hold on, fifth elder, there's one more thing. What is it? The fifth elder was taken aback. Dai Yao had seemed resigned to his fate just moments ago. Why the sudden change of heart? Why haven't you gone after Dai Mubai? He also skipped town. Dai Yao demanded. Humph. He just bolted. You're in hot water because you're clearly in cahoots with the spirit hall. It's not about leaving, it's about your shady dealings. The fifth elder scoffed, convinced that Dai Yao was being deliberately obtuse, refusing to acknowledge the real issue. This was the moment Dai Yao had been waiting for. Asking this question earlier would have been pointless. Now that he knew Ferdinand was pulling strings, he could finally speak his mind. So, let me ask this. Am I free to leave the empire on my own? Dai Yao's voice took on a sharper edge. Of course you can. The fifth elder started to reply, but the words caught in his throat. He knew Dai Yao's history, the complicated relationship between the emperor and Dai Yao's mother. If Dai Yao ventured out of the Star Luo Empire unprotected, the queen would likely have him killed, but wasn't this how the succession game had always been played? Seeing the fifth elder hesitate, Dai Yao smirked. Dai Mubai gets to leave scot-free, but what about me? Without the spirit hall's help, I'd be dead before I even cleared the city gates. Now, Dai Yao, don't be so dramatic. You still have family that care for you. The fifth elder finally understood Dai Yao's gambit. Family? What a joke. Dai Yao's voice dripped with bitterness. Where was my family when those eunuchs were tormenting me in the cold palace? Where was my family when Dai Yaming's thugs were humiliating me at the academy? I'm a prince of the realm. When I was trying to leave the Star Luo Empire, where was my family? Nowhere. Dai Yao's voice cracked with emotion, his eyes welling up. Now, suddenly, they're all concerned because I had to turn to the spirit hall just to survive. They accuse me of betraying the family and demand I repent. All I want is to live. What have I done wrong? Why? The raw emotion hung in the air. Passers-by glanced up, confused, sensing the pain and desperation in his voice. Zhu Zhuqing gently took Dai Yao's hand, offering silent comfort. The fifth elder stared, his heart pierced by Dai Yao's anguished words. He understood Dai Yao's predicament but couldn't give him what he wanted. As an elder of the Presbyterian Church, he bore a tremendous responsibility. The fate of the family rested on his shoulders. He couldn't allow personal feelings to jeopardize everything. Dai Yao's potential made him a threat. If he left and grew stronger, he could become a real problem for the empire. He had to bring Dai Yao back, one way or another. This was why Dai Yao had been so hesitant to ask that question. once it was out in the open, there would be no turning back for him or the White Tiger clan. Enough, Dai Yao. No matter your grievances, you can't betray the family. If the family makes mistakes, you can offer suggestions, but betrayal is unacceptable. That's the line. The fifth elder's voice was like ice. He reached out, his immense soul power creating a powerful gust of wind, trying to seize Dai Yao. Ferdinand. You gonna sit this one out? Dai Yao recognized the danger and yelled out. Suddenly, another powerful presence surged into being, tearing the fifth elder's energy apart. Dai Yao and Zhu Zhuqing plummeted. They summoned their spirit power and activated their martial souls, sprouting wings that allowed them to glide. The wings slowed their descent, but landing would still be rough. Dai Yao gritted his teeth, shielding Zhu Zhuqing as they hit the ground and rolled, trying to bleed off speed. As an attack-type soul master, Dai Yao was built tough. The impact didn't faze him much. Zhu Zhuqing, protected by him, was unharmed. They scrambled to their feet. Zhu Zhuqing, her face etched with worry, helped Dai Yao up. Are you okay? Dai Yao wasted no time. I'm fine. Let's go. Without looking back, they channeled their spirit power and sprinted towards the Tiando Empire. Ha ha ha, a booming laugh echoed across the landscape, followed by an equally potent wave of energy that pushed back the fifth elder's fiery aura. People clutched their ears, the laughter so intense it felt like thunder. A portly figure shot out from behind a mountain peak, confronting the fifth elder. It was Bishop Ferdinand, who had been waiting for this moment. The fifth elder narrowed his eyes. You damn fatso, do you realize that protecting Dai Yao means the Spirit Hall is declaring war on the Star Luo Empire? Can you shoulder that responsibility? His voice reverberated like a thunderclap. Relax, Lao Wu, no need to get your fur in a twist. Ferdinand gave his signature fake smile. Secretly, Ferdinand was annoyed. He had been lurking, hoping Dai Yao would announce his allegiance to the Spirit Hall. That way, as a bishop, he could defend a member of their organization, but even in a tight spot, Dai Yao wouldn't say the words. Still, it made Ferdinand respect him more. He was clearly a man of his word, which meant if he ever joined, he wouldn't betray them. Since Dai Yao hadn't officially joined, Ferdinand couldn't openly intervene. Dai Yao was on his own. All Ferdinand could do was distract the fifth elder. Lao Wu, I was just on my way back to the Spirit Hall to file my report when I ran into you. Been wanting to throw down for years, haven't you? Ferdinand didn't explicitly protect Dai Yao, but he was using a friendly duel to buy him time. The fifth elder understood the situation perfectly, his face a mask of fury. Fat man, I'm telling you, don't make a mistake. It's just a friendly spar between old buddies. What's the big deal? Ferdinand shrugged, playing dumb. Fine, if you want to die that badly, I'll be happy to oblige. The fifth elder's smile was menacing. He unleashed his soul power, the air thickening, the world darkening. 8 terrifying soul rings materialized, circling around him.